No question. He did a double text with me. And Mike Martin, the head coach at Brown University, joins us here on 365 Sports. Coach, thank you. Let's first of all, we have to help, right? John Gallagher has to get back into men's basketball.
We have to help him, and if he says anything, it's true. So it's gospel. So, we got to get him back. He needs to be running a program. He's as talented as the coach I've been around, and hopefully he'll be back on the sidelines next season.
When I brought up Mike earlier that we have had Coach Gallagher on since the Baylor national title game, the team, he said, "I'm God help you." God help you. So, all right. So you know Princeton well. You faced Princeton, the Ivy League, and all of what you've done, and we're going to get into your program as well. Does this surprise you, what you've seen from them to get to the Sweet 16?
You know what, David? I'm not surprised. This tournament, everyone says it all year, every year. It's all about matchups. And, I thought that they could compete physically with most Power 5 and, high major teams. And they proved that against one of the most talented front courts in the country in Arizona in the first round. Now, Arizona didn't play their best, but, Princeton has the ability to match up with you physically because they have size and strength and athleticism. And I think it shows how good our league is. Quite frankly, Princeton won, they shared the Ivy League regular season championship, and then they won the tournament, which was played in their home gym. But going into this NCAA tournament, I think everyone would tell you that they were the second best team in our league. I mean, Yale, all the metrics would tell you that, Yale was the other co-champ, and they were top 75, in every metric, in the net, the Ken Pom, the ESPN BPI. And, I think Princeton's success, again, shows how good our league is, and that there's a lot of really quality teams.
Are you surprised not only that they've won these two games, which you said that you kind of expected, but look, the Arizona game, they were in control late. It wasn't like they had to hit a buzzer beater. And then against Mizzou, they just throttled them. I mean, that to me, I think was the most surprising thing wasn't that they just won the games, but especially against Mizzou, that they were in control from the tip.
You know what? I wasn't, and I didn't expect them to necessarily win these two games. I expected them to be competitive, right? So I don't want to sit here and say, hey, I had them, I picked them to win two games. But what didn't surprise me was, how well they did against Missouri. I think, especially the way Princeton plays, their style on a quick turn. You know what I mean? Like a one-day prep, that can be hard to play against. So, their talent's really good. They have a player who I think every time he steps on the court is one of the top 2 or 3 players on the court in any game. And a lot of times he's the best player. He was the best player on Saturday against Missouri. That's the kid Tosan Awolma, who is on NBA teams, radars, and has had a lot of NBA scouts coming to see him throughout his time at Princeton. He was Ivy League Player of the Year as a junior. I think all of that combined with the quick prep, the short prep for Missouri. That's a big ask for even a team as good as Missouri is.
When I think of Princeton basketball, and of course everyone remembers, I think it was the win, wasn't it, against Indiana, Bob Knight back in the day, but you almost think of being methodical. But this doesn't seem like this is a team that's methodical. This team seems like they can play various styles.
Yeah, different than the old school Princeton, run the shot clock for 45 seconds and the 35 seconds. Just really wait for you to make a mistake defensively and have a lot of low possession games. They're average in terms of their tempo. They're not they're not flying the ball up and down the court like, some other teams you might see, but they're not as methodical as, some of those old school teams. And, just really kind of free flowing. And, they play through a lot of old school Princeton concepts, but not in as, I guess strict or slow of a tempo as you've seen in years past. And again, the player that they have a lot of good players, but Awolma, Tosan Awolma, their playmaking forward who, is like 16 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds per game throughout the course of our league season. He's special. He's really, makes everyone around him that much better.
Coach, you mentioned Yale earlier, and I know that, for a lot of leagues in the country to get a second team in, they're going to have to expand the tournament. But do you think that, there needs to be a discussion about leagues like the Ivy League not just being a one-bid league anymore?
Well, I'm very realistic to know that the way it is, the way it's structured, it's going to have to take a magical season for anyone in our league to get an at-large bid, just because of the way it's just so hard for the best teams in our league to schedule power conference teams in the non-league, especially at home. We'll get a few, but they're always on the road, hardly ever neutral, and never in our gym. So the system and the way teams are, evaluated is going to have to change for us to get a second bid. But I don't think Princeton's the only team in our league that could be competitive in this tournament this year. If you look at the numbers right now, our conference by Ken Pom is ranked as the 12th best conference in the country, ahead of the Atlantic 10, right behind, the Power 6 and the West Coast Conference and American Conference. So there's really good basketball. Princeton is certainly carrying the torch right now for our league, but it goes well beyond them in terms of, what teams in our league can do against the very best in the country.
You also played in a non-conference game against Michigan State. They beat you by, I think, 18. What was it like to go up against Tom Izzo? And obviously he's known for what he does in March. And it doesn't mean they have had all the best success lately, but they're in the Sweet 16 too.
Yeah, obviously that was a special opportunity for us. We're fortunate. One of our senior captains and all-league player, Paxton Wojcik, his father, Doug, is on the staff at Michigan State. Doug was so helpful in organizing that game and helping us have the opportunity. We also have a junior on our team who's from Detroit. So it served a lot of really, great purposes for us to go play Michigan State. We had a hard time scoring against them. We competed well physically. Thought our defense, in rebounding stood up to, what it needed to, but we had a bad offensive game. So much of that had to do with Michigan State. But for me as a young head coach who is trying to build a program, to coach against a Hall of Famer, not that he and I, had anything to do with the on-court. Like neither one of us was guarding each other or matching up against each other on the court, but it was a special opportunity on a lot of different levels, given the Wojciks and given that Tom Izzo's right down the sideline.
Ed Cooley.
I was going to ask about Ed Cooley at Georgetown and a fit there for him.
Yeah, Ed's as good as there is with people. Ed and I are great friends. Happy for him. He what he's done here. Not just building a really good basketball program, but like in this city, Providence College basketball. Anytime they played, it wasn't a game. It became an event because of Ed and the type of work he's done in our community, the type of work he's done in our state, what he's done for that program. I think, I don't want to speak for him, but the opportunity, to coach, at Georgetown, the brand that they have, John Thompson is one of his mentors and really was his coaching idol when he got into the business. I think that hit home for him on a lot of levels, and he'll do great work down there. And I think that Georgetown program will be back in the NCAA tournament and, competing at the top of the sport in short order.
Mike, what is it like? Because, obviously we cover all of college athletics and we cover a lot of the Big 12 because of Baylor and all of that. But what is it like to be a part of the Ivy League in athletics? What it's obviously incredibly unique.
It is. It's a special conference. We obviously first and foremost we're unique because, our student athletes are not on full athletic scholarship, right? They receive need-based financial aid, but we're the one Division I conference in the country that doesn't have full athletic scholarships. With that said, everyone on my roster is turning down full scholarships to come in the Ivy League because of the life opportunities. You can compete at the highest level athletically. You're going to get a world-renowned education. You're going to join an alumni network that is as strong and as powerful as almost any out there. So we always say you can pursue excellence in every aspect of your experience here at Brown. This league is filled with incredibly special people, and I've been really fortunate to coach the young men I've coached and to come in contact with the people I have, given my affiliation with Brown.
Mike Martin, the head coach at Brown University on 365 Sports. It looks like the Big East, we brought up Ed Cooley. You have Pitino. You have all of this movement. Is it bringing back some memories of that conference of lore?
I'll tell you what, it really is. You look at and obviously they got 3 teams in the Sweet 16. You know, Danny Hurley at UConn, Sean Miller at Xavier, Greg McDermott at Creighton, and you think about the brand of Georgetown and Villanova, and obviously with Pitino now at St. John's, and the Garden is going to be rocking. Providence has done so much, Providence College, to invest in their program with facilities and resources, and I have no doubt that they're going to have a great coach leading them next year. So, and I'm leaving out some other schools, but Big East basketball is what I grew up on here in this area. I'm from the Northeast. I'm from Springfield, Mass, and I went down to watch the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. I watched the Providence UConn game because of my relationship with Ed, and there's nothing like it, the Madison Square Garden Big East tournament. I'm biased, but I put it up there against any conference.
How big is that for St. John's, to a team that, everybody kind of associates with big-time college basketball from a while ago, but now with Pitino and, of course, they play at the Garden, which is the mecca of basketball anyway. Is that them, doubling down and trying to reassert themselves in this national picture?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think Rick Pitino is, he's proven it wherever he's been. He's one of the best college basketball coaches of all time. And, put him in New York City, in Madison Square Garden, and he's going to have that program, I think, competing at the top of that conference. So I think this is them saying, hey, we're St. John's, and we're going to win a lot of basketball games, and we're going to be a perennial contender to win Big East championships. So I think it's a great move for them, and I can't wait to see it.
I've always had appreciation for Xavier. Obviously, you mentioned the others, but also Creighton with what they did. They dominated Baylor. We know how Baylor has been really, really elite the last 8 to 10 years, including a couple of years ago. But I think Coach McDermott, I think his team was better, and it wasn't just an off night. Now, if they played like in a best of 7, who knows? But we were all kind of expecting that Creighton might just be a little bit better because Baylor has struggled this year on the defensive end.
Well, Creighton, yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, they're so well-rounded. Coach McDermott does a great job. We played them last year in the Paradise Jam down in St. Thomas, and I was just so impressed with they're really hard to guard. But then the kid Kalkbrenner defensively is a game changer. It'll be interesting to see how Princeton fares against Creighton, because I do think Creighton is so well-rounded, and I think we'll give Princeton some issues this weekend. But you talk about Baylor, and I do follow the Big 12 as well. Obviously when you have your own program, it's a little bit harder, but I'm good friends with Porter Moser at Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So I'm familiar with how dynamic that Baylor offense was this year. And for Creighton to do what they did, I think, again, shows how good they are.
Mike, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You do a great job with what you do, and hopefully maybe down the road have more from you, and appreciate the knowledge and experience too.
If Gallagher ever stops talking, maybe I'll have time to come back on. Thank you, guys.
Hey, we need